would come and be like, okay, I counted, I got 74 words, I just need one. It's not quite, it doesn't need to be, to that exact math, but it needs to be a lot of words about whatever type of topic that we are going to be investigating. And I'll show you what I mean, what a teacher web would look like with our planning. We'd want to be thinking about, what are some potential field visits we could take with a class once we figure out a topic? What types of resources will I need to gather beforehand to make sure that when they're researching, they find out the valuable information I know they need to know. A couple of years ago, I had a class that worked on, they were looking at trees, and it was a third grade class, and they hadn't really been taught how to research. And so they read, and this girl did a great job of copying everything from the computer, and she wrote all about Conifer University, which was nothing about what they needed. So, we just want to make sure in our pre-planning, we're thinking ahead of all the ways that I can help my kids. Just like I wouldn't give them, the end of the year math test in 5th grade at the beginning of the year and say, I expect you to be able to do it, and I'm not going to guide you. So you do some guiding. Phase 1 of project work is where we're really finding out what our students know about the project or about the topic. Phase 2 is when we're doing a lot of our researching and representing and doing some new learning together as a class. And then phase 3 is just the sharing of the learning. A lot of times it's called the culminating activity or the culminating event. And then documentation I put down there at the bottom, but it's ongoing evidence of our learning, and it starts at the very beginning. It starts with phase 1. I have a teacher right now in 3rd grade, and they're trying to do something with change. They don't quite know what it's going to be yet, but they have a little butterfly, or they have a little caterpillar in their room, and her students are so excited about the change they're seeing there. But then they talked about the change that they were feeling within themselves as a class, because when school started, I love this teacher because she's very open and honest with them, and she said, right now you're being off the hook. And that's not really how we can be when we're in 3rd grade, because we need to learn like this, this, and this. And they've talked about how we already are changing ourselves as students because we want to be here and we want to. So they're trying to figure out what it's going to look like. So she's starting that documentation process of change with her class. So the pre-project work, like I mentioned before, it's just a teacher web. And I know I was here a few times. I know Megan would sit with me, and we did one on storms or weather. We look at all the potential avenues that our project topic could go in. This one was on vehicles. I've done some with lower grades on dogs or trees. And so if I were going to investigate dogs, all the different avenues I could go with dogs. I know there are service dogs. I know there are dogs that we have for pets. I know that dogs, sometimes if they bite, there's a certain process you need to go through. I know there's obedience school. And so I would just kind of be thinking of all the different avenues I could go through as a teacher, and then I would group them together. Who has already done a project before? Okay. So, and do you remember the process of building the web? Does anyone have a current topic they're working on right now?
Well, we're trying to do problem solving or conflict, and we just don't know, if that's how to word it or not.
And I remember being with a group of 5th grade teachers, maybe, and we did something similar to that. And I know that was a tough one. I know a word that might be closer for them would be bullying, because you do get into problem solving and you do get into conflict, and so that might be where we start. And I know also bullying's like the big buzzword, and it's relevant and it's real in their lives. And as soon as you have the bullying talk, I know as soon as I would go around and do the school expectations, and when someone's bullying you, that's when I get a lot of extra reports on it. But I also know it's a great time for them to define what it is. So maybe start there, even though I know it's going to get bigger than that. But I'm going to keep going. Let me know if you need me to slow down. It's also a really great time to make connection to standards, because that was the biggest concern. I remember when I first started project work, it was introduced to me because preschool and kindergarten had done it, and I thought, well, that's great, because it's preschool and kindergarten, and so that, it's just so much different with them. Right now, as a parent of a kindergartner, I know it is different, but I also know that it's connected to the standards, and I'm really happy that it is, because I need my daughter to be doing rigorous work. That's me selfishly invested, and I knew I was going to be invested here. But they really did deep good work, but I know that we have to be connected with our standards. I also know we have our curriculum guides, which years ago we didn't, and so I connected it to standards, but I didn't have to be as intentional as we need to be now. Make sure we're looking at our curriculum guides, and if we have a project like bullying, I know that's going to fit in. I know you hit the American Revolution at some point, and it's definitely on I-steps. So